RCMP on the Richmound raid, why some people have been rearrested. China-bound, who's joining Saskatchewan's premier on his mission to smooth over trade ties. And Saskatchewan's hunting industry in the crosshairs of this wildfire season.
This is CTV News with Chantel Saunders.
Good evening. Saskatchewan RCMP are providing an update on the situation from Richmound yesterday, which saw 16 people arrested from a compound occupied by a group led by a woman proclaiming herself to be the Queen of Canada. As Donovan Mace explains, no charges have been laid so far, but Mounties are still investigating.
2 people associated with an RCMP raid in Richmound Wednesday have been rearrested, according to police. However, it is unknown if Romana Didulo is one of them, and neither are still in custody.
Okay, thank you.
Now, the update comes a day after RCMP executed a search warrant early Wednesday morning at a school in the small southwestern Saskatchewan village. This compound is occupied by a fringe conspiracy group led by Didulo, who claims to be the Queen of Canada. The group taking up residence in Richmound 2 years ago after leaving Kamsack earlier in 2023. Police originally responding after receiving reports of a firearm inside the building. And in Thursday's update, investigators say they have seized 13 imitation semi-automatic handguns, ammunition, and several electronic devices. Saskatchewan RCMP say all 16 individuals arrested Wednesday were released without formal charges laid, but a man and a woman were rearrested Thursday, but would not confirm if Didulo is one of them. Now, at a news conference Wednesday, police saying their release does not mean charges are off the table.
That doesn't mean that they may not be charged down the road. What that means is we potentially don't have enough evidence to charge them right now, but we can gather enough evidence to charge them down the road if that's appropriate in that case. So if people are released today or tomorrow without charges, that doesn't necessarily equate to no charges will ever be laid.
Officials say the investigation associated with the group in Richmound continues, reiterating charges have not been laid at this point. Donovan Mace, CTV News, Regina.
Premier Scott Moe is headed to China as part of a trade mission. And today we learned he is getting support from Ottawa. John Flatters on who the Prime Minister is sending and what the trip will entail.
The Prime Minister is sending his parliamentary secretary to China with a delegation led by Premier Scott Moe.
I'm very pleased with the announcement this morning from the federal government that the parliamentary secretary to Prime Minister Carney, Cody Bloy, who was at our meeting a couple of weeks ago in Saskatoon, he'll be joining us in our mission in China, and that is a positive.
With recent announcements of almost 76% tariffs on canola, that's one of the main topics of discussion set for the trip that will begin on Saturday.
What we've heard from our producers and from our exporting industry right here in Saskatchewan and Canada is that all they would like is to have fair market access into as many markets around the world as possible.
The Trade and Export Development Minister is also headed to Asia, making a stop in South Korea before joining Moe in Japan following his mission to China.
We're certainly going to be engaging with a number of trade, industry, energy partners there, as well as engaging in industry roundtables. We're going to be talking CCUS, nuclear, and while we're there, we're also going to be witnessing an extension that Vito has.
The NDP says with trade numbers to the U.S. and China significantly down, this trip is 6 months too late.
This trip was thrown together last minute. Looking at the results of the devastating tariffs on our canola products, I'm here to simply ask, why has this taken so long?
Farmers who are in the middle of harvest know there will be an impact to canola prices due to the tariffs, but it's the uncertainty that's the most draining.
Obviously, we would like to see these tariffs go away. In the interim, we need some reassurance from our federal government that they've got a plan, that they're gonna try and negotiate a way out of this, and if that fails, that they will support producers that are going to need that support if prices continue to erode.
The trade mission to China will go from the 6th of September to the 9th. John Flatters, CTV News, Saskatoon.
This year's wildfire season is taking its toll. Jasmine Pelche now on the insurance claims that are adding up and the impact fire damages are having on the province's hunting industry.
Saskatchewan's hunting and fishing industry took a hit this summer.
In addition to the lost revenue, outfitters were in a position where they had already spent on supplies and equipment and wrapping up for the season, and they were in the middle of the season, employees, the whole bit.
The Saskatchewan Commission of Professional Outfitters says preliminary data from over 80 outfitters shows the summer wildfires cost the Saskatchewan industry well over $2 million. American clients were more reluctant to travel to northern Saskatchewan due to the wildfires. Road closures and ATV bans resulting from the fires were a challenge to outfitters even when fire wasn't an immediate threat.
Once those were banned, basically cancellations had to take place because the outfitters weren't able to conduct their business. I think that just the ATV and UTV ban's going to result in, north of $400,000 worth of lost revenue.
It was also a busy summer for insurance claims. A media release from the Insurance Bureau of Canada says the Pisu wildfire near L'Orange alone caused over $50 million in insured damage in early June. The SPSA says the total cost of this year's firefighting efforts is still being tallied.
We don't ever get an exact amount until later in the fall to around that November-ish mark, and even sometimes it falls into December, just depending on some of those service providers and how quickly they get their documentation to us.
The SPSA says that weather conditions are favorable and smoke issues are dwindling. While there are 2 uncontained fires in the west, the SPSA doesn't anticipate more evacuations. As of Thursday afternoon, there are 38 active wildfires in the province. Jasmine Pelche, CTV News, Prince Albert.
It's been a windy day across much of Saskatchewan. In Saskatoon, the wind was gusting up to 60 kilometers an hour, knocking over construction barriers and toppling waste bins throughout the city. A wind warning was issued for parts of southern Saskatchewan, with gusts reaching up to 90 kilometers an hour. The strong wind comes as a cold front moves through the province. Well, Laura, the wind, the cold, and there were some drops of rain out there today, making for kind of a mixed bag.
A mixed bag, and it really depended what time of day you were outside. It depended what the temperature was like. We saw those showers, as you mentioned. They were scattered throughout the afternoon, and looks like they'll continue into parts of southern Saskatchewan. You can see that system rolling through, heading east. So we saw that in Saskatoon, Prince Albert, really right across the board. And as I mentioned, it was mostly throughout the afternoon, and then would scatter, and then the clouds would move, and you'd see the sun. So it was a mixed bag today, and it looks like things cooling off tonight, but then starting to warm up on Sunday. I'll have your full weather forecast coming up.
A 44-year-old Saskatoon man is facing charges associated with assaulting a police officer. Police were called to a business in the 400 block of 21st Street East yesterday afternoon at about 4 o'clock, where a man was threatening staff and refused to leave. SBS says the man refused to listen to the responding police officer and instead punched him in the head. The suspect then took off the officer's bike helmet and then hit him with it. The officer hit the man with a baton and pepper sprayed him, but that didn't work to subdue him. The struggle spilled out onto the patio, where police say the man tried to hit the officer with a metal stool. The officer was eventually able to use a taser on the man, and he was taken into custody. The officer was not seriously injured. And a man was taken to hospital after being attacked last night. Police say he was on his privately owned bus at about 11:30 last night in the 3300 block of Fairlight Drive when a stranger got on the bus and asked for change. When the victim said no, the suspect struck him multiple times on the head with a metal object. The suspect left the area before police arrived. Saskatoon police are renewing calls for help in finding a missing teen. 14-year-old Arlie Bighead was last seen the afternoon of July 20th on 22nd Street West. There is concern Arlie might be in a vulnerable state. Police have received reports Arlie was seen in both Saskatoon and Prince Albert, but those sightings have not been confirmed. Anyone with information on Arlie Bighead's disappearance is asked to contact police. The Saskatchewan NDP claims many Saskatchewan schools are crumbling because of government neglect. A report obtained through a Freedom of Information request lists 13 schools that are in critical need of attention and another 132 in poor shape. But as Wayne Mantika tells us, some of those schools have already been replaced.
The provincial government has assessed the condition of hundreds of Saskatchewan schools, and the NDP have obtained a copy of the report.
We have nearly 150 schools in this province that are falling apart.
The NDP say 13 schools are listed in critical condition. 132 are in poor shape. Topping the list of schools in critical condition are 3 in Regina and an elementary school in Kelvington.
We're talking about roofs leaking, windows boarded up.
What the government report failed to identify is that 3 Regina schools in critical condition are being replaced by a new joint-use facility between now and the end of the year, while elementary students in Kelvington have moved into the newly renovated high school building. The government feels the NDP should have known that.
And we still have students in a number of those schools.
In a written statement, the government said, "We will take no lessons from the lost and reckless NDP who closed schools and allocated $0 to preventive maintenance and renewal funding when they were in government." Wayne Mantika, CTV News, Regina.
The University of Regina Student Union wants student input on whether it should disband. It follows months of disagreement between it and the University of Regina. Sierra D'Souza Butts has details of the latest twist in this story.
With an absent students' union on campus this year, University of Regina students are feeling indifferent about their transition to the start of the school year.
I feel like this year it's kind of more organized than last year, because last year when it was my orientation, it was so much chaos.
Since the U of R announced its decision to terminate its main lease agreement with URSU, students have been working around their normal welcome back routine.
Currently, yeah, it's been confusing because, well, how do I deal with my health pass? How do I deal with my U pass? And I think a lot of students are having the same issue.
The organization will be holding a special general meeting within 3 weeks to determine if the union will be dissolved, giving its approximate 16,000 students it represents a chance to vote on the decision.
I think there's some issues that have been brought to the attention of those students. They'll have to make the decisions going forward. The students want the leadership of what they do in response to and whether they create a new organization.
The meeting follows a series of clashes between the union and university over the past several months, including URSU being under investigation due to possible misappropriation of funds. If approved, the board of directors would be authorized to engage a liquidator to oversee the dissolution process, with all URSU records and data remaining URSU property. All remaining assets would be transferred to the university's board of governors until another student union is formed. In the special meeting agenda, it states that by approving this resolution, members release the URSU Board of Directors, executives, management, and staff from liability relating to its operations and dissolution.
In their resolution, they've dissolved themselves of any responsibility for any of the things that might be left behind after that. Could be another issue, but this is all sort of happening in, a lot of things have happened as we've been through this journey with them.
CTV News has reached out to URSU for comment, but did not hear back in time for deadline. The resolution at URSU's special meeting will need at least 2/3 of votes casted to pass. The meeting is set to take place on September 24th at the Atlas Hotel. Sierra D'Souza Butts, CTV News, Regina.
Warm, dry conditions across the province last week allowed farmers to make progress in this year's harvest. 23% of the crop is now in the bin, but that's still well behind the 5-year average of 40%. 91% of winter wheat has been harvested, followed by 88% fall rye. Most oilseed crops are still in the ground, with canola at 4%. There have been no reports of flax crops harvested yet. Crop damage was mainly caused by windy and dry conditions, grasshoppers, and Bertha armyworms. Below the streets of Saskatoon, a mystery has lingered for decades. The stories of hidden tunnels around the city have sparked curiosity, debate, and even spooky urban myths. CTV's Carla Shinkarika went beneath the streets to dig into the history.
There are a couple of tunnels, and this is absolutely true.
Jeff O'Brien is a City of Saskatoon archivist and says the question about tunnels under the city is not a simple one to answer.
If you go down the stairwell on the north side of the lobby at the Besborough, there's a door with a chain on it, and it leads to this tunnel.
That's That's one of the legitimate tunnels beneath our streets, built in the 1960s or 70s. It provided a passageway for guests of the hotel to the parking garage across the street. The only other confirmed tunnel, according to O'Brien, linked the old Bay building with its parkade across 2nd Avenue.
Of course, when they tore down the parkade years and years ago, they filled in the tunnel.
He says the myths are justified. This mysterious arch found in the Senator Hotel still unsolved, but adding to the tunnel theories.
People say, oh yeah, I've been in these tunnels. There are things, or were, in the downtown that really resemble tunnels.
This area of 21st Street has fueled some of that tunnel mystery. There used to be grates in the sidewalk and purple-blue bricks, evidence for some of those portals below.
And what they are sidewalk vaults. And they're an extension of the basement of a building underneath the sidewalk. And you'll see there'll be grates or glass blocks in the pavement.
So with that, what some think are tunnels are not really tunnels. Now, if you head to the university campus, that's another story.
So it's a whole network of tunnels and skywalks that encircles our central green region called the Bowl.
And while most of the U of S tunnels are main passageways, some like this one to the dorms give off a creepy vibe, especially in the summer when campus is empty.
There's a lot of history in these walls, and there's some spooky ways for sure. There's some some corners that might look a little daunting.
So whether or not you buy into Saskatoon's tunnel folklore, it certainly adds to the underground character of our city. Carla Shinkaruk, CTV News, Saskatoon. Still to come on CTV News, do the Riders have what it takes to win the Banjo Bowl? And a look at a Huskies player already making an impact this season. The Saskatchewan Roughriders have not won a Banjo Bowl against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers during this decade. You'd have to go back to 2018 for the last time the Riders were victorious in the Labor Day rematch with the Bombers, when current Winnipeg quarterback Zach Collaros was under center for the green and white. Princess Auto Stadium has been a notoriously difficult place for the Riders to play in recent years, but the team believes they have what it takes to change that this year.
Hornet's nest, man. That's what we're kind of walking into. We know that, and but we feel like we can bring what we need to do to extinguish it, and it's going to be no easy task, though. We know they're a great team, and their backs against the wall. They're coming off of a loss in a big game, and so we know we're going to get their best effort, and so it's going to be a fun one.
The Riders currently hold a slim 2-point lead atop the West Division standings over the Calgary Stampeders. The U of S Huskies are expecting a big crowd this weekend at Griffith Stadium for their home opener against the UBC Thunderbirds. Matt Young has more on one player who's already making an impact.
It's picked off right in the hands of Seth Sunderby, and he's going to go all the way. Pick six, Huskies.
The green hair he sported last season might not be back, but Huskies defensive back Seth Sunderby is serving notice across the Canada West Conference after getting his first career interception last weekend, running it all the way back for a touchdown, and being named Defensive Player of the Week.
A lot goes into it, like a lot of the D-line, then, the DB's covering. I just, as a fifth year, every play, I'm just thinking, man, fly around, have fun, hit somebody. So, yeah, I'm really honored that I got named that.
Yeah, no, I mean, Seth had a good game. Seth's, he's a fifth year. He's a captain. He's a leader. He's an incredible football player.
The 2025 CFL draft pick and former Canada West All-Star is in his final year with the Huskies and says he's fine with embracing a leadership role.
Just being through like 2 Vaniers myself and then going to Riders Camp, I do feel like I have some more experience to help out some of the younger guys and keep things going smoothly as much as I can.
No, we've got 7 leaders on our football team, and he's one of them. He's got the C on his chest there on his jersey, so absolutely he's a leader.
Sunderby is part of a veteran defensive group featuring Charlie Parks, Jacob Goldstone, and Ethan Lang, who says he knew Sunderby long before his days in college football.
He played ball with my older brother, so I was kind of around him growing up, and he's just like, on the field, he's such a reliable guy, He knows his job. He knows what everyone else does.
It's a bit of a joke with the team. You can tell when angry Seth comes out, and when angry Seth comes out, it's a guy that you don't want to be in front of.
Saskatchewan's defense hopes to rise to the occasion this week against the UBC team, which will offer a stiff test for this defensive core. And everyone always gets up for a homecoming game.
Definitely, yeah. I'm not sure how many tickets sold, but yeah, hopefully for a really loud crowd.
They're going to fly around, make plays. We're going to do the same. It's going to be a great matchup.
Kickoff between the Huskies and T-Birds is 7 p.m. on Friday night at Griffith Stadium. Matt Young, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Still to come on CTV News, Laura takes a check on your forecast, and later she checks in on our picks of the day.
Well, it was a windy day in Saskatoon and right across the board in parts of some of southern Saskatchewan. We saw wind speeds of up to 90 kilometers an hour. So quite windy out there. Here in Saskatoon, it was about 60, so a little less, but definitely we felt that. Mixed with some showers throughout the day. Might return overnight, but things starting to clear up into tomorrow. But feeling cooler as we see that cold front coming into Saskatchewan, but leaving by the weekend. You can take a look there at our future cast and the system that's rolling through and heading east. The high today, 16 degrees, a little bit cooler than normal temperatures where the high is typically 21. The low today, 10 degrees. The record was set in 2009 at 32 degrees. -5 was the record low set in 1930. And we saw the sun set at 7:46. The hot spot, not too bad, 20 degrees in Leader. Cold spot, 9 degrees in Collins Bay. And as we head around the province, looking like a mix of sun and cloud tomorrow. Double digits sticking around, but when we get to the lows, it gets a bit cooler, especially mixed with that wind. So depending on the time of day, depends how many layers you need. Looks like 19 degrees in Maple Creek, 20 degrees in Leader, mix of sun and cloud for southeastern Saskatchewan, east central Saskatchewan, a little cooler and a little more cloud coverage, and that's that system that's moving east. So we're seeing it roll through east central Saskatchewan, so that's the reason for less sunshine. Partly cloudy tonight in the Battlefords. There is a risk of frost, and then tomorrow some sunshine, and I put down the UV risk because it's going to be quite sunny out there. High of 19, but again, a cooler temperature when it dips down to 1 degree and into the weekend. Pretty nice. Sunday, high of 27, and into next week, shaping up to be pretty nice, above seasonal temperatures. Tonight in Prince Albert, there is a chance of showers, about 30% chance, and then into tomorrow, sunshine and a high of 16 degrees. You did see that negative digit there, -1 in Prince Albert. Tomorrow is the low. Overnight in Saskatoon, 3 degrees, a chance of showers, winds continuing to be strong, and then into tomorrow, 18 degrees, mainly sunny, a moderate UV index of 5, high of 18, as I mentioned, low of 1 into Saturday, even nicer, high of 21, low of 5. Sunday, 26 and a low of 9. And then into the next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all pretty nice at around 23, 24 degrees.
Still to come on CTV News, your stories in pictures. Laura is back with Pick of the Day.
Select Hair Services brought to you by Sage, the beauty bar.
All right, Laura, before we go, we want to share your picks of the day.
Yes, lots of emails of some great pictures. And so thank you for sending them in. And we love to showcase them. So we'll start off with, I believe, oh, this one. Here we go. And I printed off the email. Yesterday, I went a little rogue. So I'll read from what people have sent. Took yesterday down by the river on Spadina Crescent. Not sure what kind of birds these are. That's Kurt asking. And those are actually the yellow-tailed flamingos. So thanks so much, Kurt. If you have any questions about birds, I'll have more answers. Of course, I'm joking. I'm not sure what kind of birds those are, but the kind with wings. What do you think, Chantal?
That's a pretty good guess.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
right.
Those with wings.
Those with wings. An awesome shot. Check this out. Saskatchewan farmers feeding the country, work 24/7 to make the job done. Sent to us by Ruslan from Rosetown. And such an awesome shot of those combines hard at work, and definitely not just feeding the country, feeding the whole world. So thanks so much to our farmers. And we have another one. This one showcasing the wind we saw today. Chantal, did you wear a hat?
No, it would have been blown away if I did.
That's good. I gave you that advice yesterday.
Yes,
I'm glad you listened.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, Dean listened as well. He said seeing the wind in the trees today. Absolutely right, Dean. And as I mentioned, you know, throughout the day it was dark skies with the rain. But look at this picture. This was taken today, and it looks like blue skies.
Yeah, it's kind of off and on today, wasn't it?
Off and on today is right. Should clear up tonight, though, with that rain and the wind, and start to shape up to be a nice weekend.
Yeah, next week looks really decent.
You can wear a hat then because it'll
Maybe
be
I will.
sunny.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
A sun visor hat.
A sun visor. We'd like to see you anchor in your sun visor.
Yeah, okay, I'll work on that.
The lights are bright in here. You could wear it.
This is true. Some sunglasses too?
Yeah, we'll only make fun of you a little bit.
Yeah, just a little. Thanks for watching.
Good night.